On behalf of North Carolina Youth Soccer, we want to welcome Hugh Roberts, who's a professional player with the Charlotte Independents in the USL. We're looking forward to having a conversation with him about social injustice and the power of sport towards change, not only in this country, but globally. So, Hugh, thank you for taking some time to join us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah. As we get going, can you just share a little bit about your background as far as where you grew up and a little bit about your soccer background through youth, college, and now the professional ranks?
Yeah, so I was born in New York, Queens, New York. It's my mom's side, family up there. I was actually raised outside of D.C. in Maryland. From there, for those who know Maryland, I played MSI soccer, which is recreational soccer, for pretty much from maybe like first grade on to fifth, sixth. My dad was Jamaican, so we really didn't know anybody to get plugged into the correct like soccer leagues or anything. So I started in rec, worked my way up to Potomac Soccer. This is before they joined Academy. So this was just the Potomac Soccer Club, played with them from 8th to 9th, and then we became Academy. So I was playing for the Potomac Academy through high school. Then from there, I got recruited, went to George Mason University outside of DC. I was actually a forward my whole life. And then my sophomore year, they transitioned and moved me to center back. So from there, my sophomore year on, played center back. And then after that, I didn't get drafted or anything. I went to a couple open tryouts in the USL. Went to Rochester Rhinos, Harrisburg Islanders at the time. Didn't make either. Then I went to Richmond Kickers, went to open trials, made it there. I was there for 3 weeks in preseason, and then they signed me. And then from there, I signed a 1 year guaranteed and 2 year option. Picked up my option, so I was there for 3 years. From there, I went to the Philadelphia Union organization, 2017, played for the Philly Union and Bethlehem Steel. Then from there, went to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And then last year, I joined the Charlotte Independents, and now I'm here in my second year.
Yeah, so and we're glad to have you in the state of North Carolina. In addition to playing professionally for the Charlotte Independents, what else are you involved with in regards to soccer in North Carolina?
In North Carolina, I also coach as well. I coach for the Charlotte Eagles. This is my second year now. I coach a U13 boys team. We were U12 last year. And so, yeah, I've been active, not only coaching club, but I do individuals out here and do a bunch of appearances for the Eagles, et cetera. Yeah, so nice.
Well, great. Well, the goal today is to have a conversation about social injustice and, again, the power of sport towards change. Following the death of George Floyd on May 25th, you wrote an essay entitled Justice. What led you to feeling compelled to write that essay?
Yeah, it was honestly even before then. It was Ahmaud Arbery. His death was before then, and it was all over quarantine. And if you go to my Instagram page, I created a video, and that kind of led to that article being written about George Floyd, but originally it was about Ahmaud Arbery because he was going on a jog and, he got killed, just literally running in broad daylight. And that's what I had to do all quarantine because, yes, we were quarantined in, but I, had to stay in shape every day. So I'm also from the DC area. This is the furthest south I've ever lived. So it was also kind of an awakening for me because I'm running through North Carolina and South Carolina at the time and, running through neighborhoods myself, the same thing as Arbery. So it really touched me in that sense. So, I got together. This is my second year now. So I met a videographer out here. We were able to put together a video for Ahmaud Arbery. And then that kind of like steamrolled everything to this day. Got me the article for George Floyd. And I thank the USL for reaching out to me and, creating that article. I put together, just my heart and what I felt. But I would say literally from Ahmaud Arbery though on, I felt like that kind of, Ahmaud Arbery definitely touched my spark and sparked everything for me.
Yeah, and starting with the NWS Challenge Cup, MLS's back tournament, and continuing on with USL games, players began to share their feelings both verbally and visually regarding social injustice. Why did this occur, in your opinion? What was their intention and their hope by showing this verbally and visually in those moments?
Yeah, I think it was a unique opportunity because everyone was in a bubble situation, and that's the first time ever, I believe, for both NBA and MLS and WNSL and WNBA as well. So I commend them. I think they were talking about it for a couple of months before then. I had a couple of them on my shows for my podcast, Backyard Footy. We talked about that as well, being strong in unity, strength in numbers, coming together as a collective. And so They with the whole that was powerful. It kind of caught me by surprise. So I knew they were doing something, but not something that unified. And so I even commend the MLS for continuously showing the movement and rocking all the coaches are rocking the shirts, and they're still showing Black Lives Matter and things like that. And ultimately, with people, some people kneeling and showing some kind of display, it's really just to highlight my life. George Floyd was actually my third cousin. He was my second cousin's half brother. I had two different mothers, but he's literally family. So it's really, for me, it's just highlighting my family who lost. Has nothing to do about political. People sometimes get confused between the organization and the movement, and there's two different things. And so with the NBA zone, the MLS and everything, it's highlighting the movement and just bringing awareness to our struggles in our daily life, because I don't think it's ever been a moment like that where it's actually been highlighted like this.
Yeah, and you started to touch on it a little bit there, but when a fan or a coach is observing what players in, let's say, MLS or NWSL or USL are doing visually, whether it's the shirts they wear or the stance that they make, what's important for them to understand about that stance?
I think it's important to take away that it's more than a game. We're more than just athletes. As I said before, sometimes these off the field issues affect our daily lives. It's very tough to see a family member getting murdered and you have to go practice and train. Like, of course, we're taught since youth to, push those things to the side and just step on the field. Everything's going to go away, of course. And that happens for me as well. But there's certain issues that continue on that sometimes it's time to speak up and say something about it. And this is my 7th year in the league. This is my 4th different team. I was like, this is the 2nd division in soccer in America. So I really didn't care about the platform that I had. I figured this is time for me just to say something in general. And so that's what I did. And it's really powerful that we're all doing this as a collective, because strength in numbers. And I just hope that people get the greater message other than the knees and all the, displays and that kind of things, because it's really just highlighting our lives and the struggles sometimes.
What has the Charlotte Independence professional team, what have you specifically done in regards to trying to raise awareness?
Yeah, it's been a little roller coaster ride. As I mentioned, I've been speaking up since Ahmaud Arbery. That was in March. But from March till about June, they didn't say anything, didn't put out a statement. They didn't support me, and not only me, but Brandon Miller, our goalkeeper on the team. He's also been very vocal on Twitter and IG, supporting the movement and things, and they didn't support either of us. And so we didn't put pressure on them or anything, but fans did. Fans caught wind of this. Fans caught wind of the owners, saying things that might have been against what we were saying. News and media outlets were reaching out to me and Brandon, writing articles about the independence of silence. So it wasn't necessarily us, telling them that their silence is powerful, because silence does speak very loud a lot of times. A lot of times organizations and people feel like, well, I just won't say anything, and I understand that as well, but silence also speaks volumes. And so they, because of pressure and because of media attention, they put out a little statement, and then they reached out to me and Brandon how they can help. So fast forward a little bit to about like a month and a half ago, been trying to do more community-based issues. We've been trying to do free food drives here, trying to do free health checkups. We did our first soccer clinic here for, I believe it's Brandon's organization, which is called Heal Charlotte. And they're trying to do underprivileged housing. They're trying to, feed the homeless, et cetera, things like that. And so, they're getting more involved within the community. I was able to create some Black Lives Matter t-shirts for the team. Got that together. They still promote us. They still support the movement and everything. I actually met with the president and the owner too. So it's been a good work in progress. We put together like an educational video with us players and guys from the front office and coaching staff, kind of just talking about our life and our experiences, and like just kind of what we're doing right now. But in open table format, we recorded it and hopefully can, keep educating the masses.
What has been the response from fans and from people in the community in regards to the different avenues that you and then Brandon Miller, you mentioned, have been trying to implement to help achieve change?
Yeah, this is from the player standpoint. I'm sure from the Independence, they might have lost some fans and some season ticket holders. I'm not sure, but I assume, it happens all the time. But from us, it's been a lot of love. It's been very receptive, very, very receptive. I'm talking about fans have been reaching out to us even before the Independents even put out a statement, all quarantine, saying they got us, they got our back, they want to be here for us. Jack's Militia, who's the sort of supporters group here, they created a banner, Black Lives Matter banner for us. They have just been really receptive and supportive this whole time. And it's been, I honestly, you just do these things and you don't really care for the blowback or whatever. And then just to receive all this love is very impactful and just it really touched me in a lot of ways. So it's been good so far. But the work isn't done yet. We're gonna keep it moving, but it's been very receptive.
As we talk about how sport can hopefully be a mechanism for change, how can sport and specifically soccer help to create avenues for change and awareness on systematic racism and social injustice that may be going throughout this country?
Yeah. Well, sports is a very big platform. You have the potential to reach thousands, if not millions. And so what's been going on now has been going on for decades. Like I might be talking about this now on my podcast and things, but I'm pretty young. Everyone's been going through this for a while now. And systematically, I might have been getting my opportunities now, but I can tell you over 20 to 30 of my close friends have not gotten the same opportunities and have struggled in all kind of senses, couldn't even go to college just because coaches look at them other ways and don't understand the struggle that they might be going through. I just feel like, soccer is a very, very diverse sport. It's not, you have all different cultures, you have all different styles, and it has to also reflect that, whereas that's in the front office or the coaching staff or just the organization in general, because you have to be able to understand your players. And I feel like the organizations that don't really understand their players best, tend to struggle. And so just hiring more diversity, getting more like-minded folks around us players and just around the organization speaks volumes.
So what might youth clubs or youth coaches be doing, even if it's unintentional, that is perpetuating systematic racism? And maybe this is an opportunity for you to share some of your experiences personally having grown up in the youth soccer system.
Yeah, so for me, I'm 6'4". I was a forward my whole life, as I mentioned before. And, I was 6 foot already in 8th grade, 5'11", about to be 6 foot already. And so I can't tell you guys the amount of times that I'm in middle school and I'm playing on the field and my parents are heckling or getting heckled by other parents and other teams talking about, show me his passport, show me his ID. He can't be from America. He can't be from here. He's too old to be in this club, in this league. And my birthday is in September, so I'm actually younger than all these kids. But just because of my height and my athleticism, my speed, this was daily showcases in front of thousands of other parents. People are making a scene. My parents are having to fight and deal with these things. That was just me dealing with personally. And that also speaks to the transition from me playing to center back because, this is just talked about in the Black culture, but if you're fast and Black, you pretty much get moved to the back. And, that's not just for me, but it's countless of my friends you should see. We were attackers as a youth. We got some athleticism, we're moved to the back. And, I was able to adjust, and here I am as a professional, but it just speaks, it really starts in the youth system because you see the transitions and it happens all the time. I'm not saying it's not going to pan out because some of the best offenders were attackers in the world and they're able to just, see the game a little differently. That's why I feel like I'm here now because I used to play as an attacker. But those things happen systematically. And also, as I was speaking about my friends earlier too, as I transitioned from middle school, Potomac soccer, that was the only time I ever had a Black coach, and that was in middle school. I've never had a Black coach since. And Black coaches are also on short leashes. We were getting ready to transition to academy, and he was doing really well for us. We were going to the Disney showcase in 9th grade, and we were nationally ranked a little bit, but they just cut him because they wanted a Georgetown coach to come in for academy. So as soon as he came in, like sophomore year of high school till senior year, he started, me and some of my peers started not playing us on the weekends in front of showcases. My friends, for example, some of them were just struggling in school, struggling at home, struggling with their parents, not being in and out the house, struggling with food on the table and things. And of course, you're not upset, but you might look angry. You might go harder in a tackle because you're a little more upset. And if you don't understand what's going on at home or the culture or something like that, then instead of just putting your arm around the kid like, Johnny, hey, like, I know you're upset. Tomorrow's another day. My friends are getting benched, and players are getting benched on big showcase games. These are big games with college scouts every game, and just the littlest sense of understanding and or just opening the door saying, hey, like, I'm here for you kind of thing will just provide some kind of comfortability. And I think that was missing at the time. And as I mentioned before, I can tell you countless 20 to 30 guys that are just were better than me and just sitting on the couch, national team ranks, everything, et cetera. And they're just on a short lease with no opportunities. So, yeah.
Yeah, what I heard there is that it's really important that we're aware of bias that we may have, whether it's, again, intentional or unintentional, but there's biases that are out there in regards to how we look at players or how we may look at coaches. And being aware of that and looking to make sure that we're trying to provide opportunities, not limit opportunities, is important. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what can youth soccer clubs and coaches do to try to start to implement change in their environment?
Yeah, so it's something we talked about here within I coach for the Charlotte Eagles. It's something that we talked here amongst ourselves as well. And I'm actually the only Black coach within this organization too. And so, you know, and that's there's no problem with that. This is going to continue on. I don't understand what my white players are going through as well. There's always going to be a little gap, but to separate that, you know, sometimes I just tell my players from the jump, like, you know, before practice in your huddles, like, hey, you guys have any problems? I'm here for you. I know these issues might be going on, but, you know, kind of just dropping that wall and telling them that I'm here for you to talk to. If you feel any kind of way at home, just talk to me, you know, I'll understand. And you'll begin to see the amount of kids that just come up to you and just vent to you about school. It's almost like you're a parent for them. You know, for me, with the Eagles organization, I'm sure some of you guys know they're a faith-driven organization, so they have a lot of scholarship kids from minority backgrounds who are really struggling. And so I feel like I feel blessed to be here for them because I'm a Black coach and I understand their struggles. And, you know, a lot of times I see them, you know, sometimes going extra hard in practice or sometimes tearing up and stuff, or sometimes they're not even talking to me. And I'll never punish the kid. I'll never just bench him in the game or you know, just make him run after practice or something. I just tell him I'm here for him. If he wants to talk to me, he can talk to me. The next day he ends up just venting to me about school or struggles between him and his parents, but he's a great player. And I just talk to him and, you know, you just see the calmness come in his body. And then he all of a sudden starts to play well on the weekends for you and just keeps talking to you. And just some kind of companionship a little bit. So just establishing that culture, and also maybe in a little sense too, if you have a lot of Spanish players on your team or some African players on your team as well, if it's their birthdays or something, you know, have them do a Spanish tradition birthday or an African culture birthday or some kind of different sense, just highlighting for everyone to become aware of different cultures and, you know, the biases moving forward will kind of drop down.
Yeah, I really like what you touched base on there and the dialogue that's important. One of the things that I know we talk about within coaching education is the 6 tasks of a coach. And a couple of those tasks are, how do we lead our team? How do we lead our individual players? And then also, how do we manage that overall environment that we're coaching in? And having dialogue and understanding where the individuals on our team come from and their backgrounds and the struggles that they may or may not be going through is a really important part to our environment and to helping individual people and players achieve everything they can, both on the field and off the field. So thanks for sharing that. A question that came in was, you know, in North Carolina, we've got different areas. We've got some major city areas. We've also got some more rural areas. For coaches that might be in a more rural area, you know, are there resources, are there materials that they could use to help inform families of social issues that might be impacting their community?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And of course, you know, that's the best way to educate. And I'm trying to figure out how I can word this because you don't want to just go online and just start reading something. You don't want to just go on social media. Everything's skewed that way too. Honestly, it's really just going back through history and just highlighting, you know, struggles back then. It doesn't have to be that deep, but maybe within the last like 50 years, still been struggles back then. So highlighting the struggles from the past shows the same reoccurrence here in the future. And it's really, I know, especially on the rural areas, I've been out there some myself too. I know it might not be around that common to even understand in that sense, but really just digging into the history, or even asking someone from a different race or culture within your surrounding area or environment to maybe speak to your team, or you ask them questions and, educate yourself and educate your team on those things. And it doesn't have to be a reoccurrence daily practice thing. This can really just be a one-time thing. And I'm pretty sure the next instance that comes around, kids are going to be talking to you. Everyone's going to be talking to you on the side and just wanting to know more information.
Yeah, thanks for that. As we finish up the last couple questions in this dialogue to have a conversation on social injustice and the power of sport to change, if you do have questions, please don't hesitate to send them to me through the chat feature. Hugh, what other avenues have you been involved in? You mentioned some of these earlier, but the avenues you've been involved in to raise awareness on social injustice and advocate for change.
Yeah, so I started my own foundation. It's called the Backyard Footy Foundation. That's the name of my podcast. And I created T-shirts, Black Lives Matter T-shirts. It's kind of Charlotte specific with the Charlotte Queen City crown. But that was to raise money for my foundation, so I could be able to give money to 3 charities. I'm partnered with Black Love, which is a homeless foundation here. So I gave them an $800 check a couple of weeks ago, giving money to the homeless. I'm also partnered with a charity called Creative Player Foundation here in Charlotte, which gives free education, free food, and it's a soccer-specific foundation for underprivileged kids here in Charlotte. So I recently just gave money to them as well, and I have a GoFundMe link that I'm raising money as well. But I'm really, raising awareness and trying to give back to the community on these issues, because out here in Charlotte, I know that there's a good amount of homelessness only been spiking up. And I'm also part of the new USL Black Players Alliance. I'm not sure if some of you guys saw that it was announced, but I was actually one of the co-founders of it. Started that conversation way back with my podcast shows at the end of May and June. And we just officially announced ourselves 2 weeks ago. But we're basically a voice for all the minorities and Blacks here in the USL. And especially with these movements and times going on, we, want to create diversities in the front office, create everlasting changes within the communities, have clubs start affecting the communities, and create coaching opportunities for us Blacks post-career. Because as we see in the MLS and just throughout this country, not too many Black coaches. So we want to continuously highlight opportunities for us and continuously grow us. So
Can you repeat what that podcast is for those that might want to find it and listen?
Yep, it's called Backyard Footy, Backyard Footy, Footy, all one word. I'm on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Stitcher, Google Play, all social media platforms, Twitter, IG as well. But definitely tune into that. I had 2 Black Lives Matters Player Edition podcasts. So I had 15 to 20 USL and MLS guys on my show for 2 episodes. We just talked about our struggles as a Black, player growing up in this country. And I also had a Black Lives Matter Coaches Edition. I had close to 10 Black coaches, and females and males, talk about their experiences, struggling, just trying to coach in this country as well. So definitely tune in. And it's really just education and just highlighting some of these struggles.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. As we look to finish up this conversation today, what would be the messages you'd like to share with the coaches and the individuals on this call moving forward as they think about social injustice in this country and they think about what their roles are as coaches and involved in the game? What would be a final message to kind of send out?
I think the biggest thing for me is kind of getting out of your comfort zones and having a conversation with someone who doesn't look like you. I can tell you to donate. Yes, it feels good and it's a great thing, but it really doesn't change your mindset and we continue on with the same things. I can, of course, social media is great sharing things, but it's all social media is skewed really, and it's really kind of like, it's like a fake love kind of thing. But to change it starts from within really. And so just having a conversation with someone who doesn't look like you, maybe your neighbor, a coworker or something, and getting to understand their family, their background, their heritage, and you realize there's a lot of similarities. And then from there, carrying it forward, I feel like it will just open your mind to new understandings, and it will ultimately create empathy. And that's what's missing, some empathy, emotional connection, and the understanding of the struggles that a minority might be going through.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. We'll get you out on this one. when's the next game with Charlotte Independence? Who's it against? Where can people watch if they want to support Charlotte Independence professional team?
We play this weekend against Birmingham FC down in Birmingham. You can watch us on ESPN Plus. I believe the game's at, it's the same time, 7 p.m., same time.
Yep. Well, hold on one second. I think we've got one question coming in here, and that they're typing. And as it comes in, we'll finish up with that.
Yep. Feel free to ask.
We're testing somebody's typing skills and the speed of their typing skills right now. The question came in is what differences have you seen from having grown up in the Washington, D.C., Beltway, Maryland area to now having lived here in the South and North Carolina in regards to maybe bias or injustice that occur specifically with sport, specifically maybe even with soccer. So differences that you maybe have observed.
Yeah, I would say the DC area is a little bit more diverse, not just with Blacks and Spanish, like other races, Indians, Chinese. There's a lot of different races and cultures out in DC. So it's a little more diverse. And down here, I would say is just a little less Black coaches, a little less Black players on the field as well. And there's also a big Spanish population here too. Definitely bigger than I thought. Well, I'm speaking for Charlotte, Raleigh, or the other rural areas. I'm not too sure, but out in Charlotte is a kind of a big Spanish population. So it's a good mix between Spanish and white. But I'll say just the diversity aspect, and just from what I've seen from a coach's standpoint here in the Eagles organization, again, we tend to be on a short leash too. There's one Black coach besides me last year, and things didn't work out with him, and so he was released and moved on, and now it's just me. So I would say can't speak for everyone else, not other clubs, but I would assume kind of similarities are going on where coaches are either on a short leash or not getting too many opportunities.
Yeah. So
I think sorry. Last
good.
To tend to the players and why maybe there's not a lot of diversity and maybe minorities. I feel like the DC area might have more opportunities for like scholarship programs and kids to play for free. They also might be reaching to the minority areas where I know the Eagles, Independence, some other clubs aren't really having tryouts and open camp opportunities in underprivileged areas. And I understand, some money aspect, and they might not be able to afford these things, but typically, not just here in this country, but worldwide and other sports, the best players come from the underprivileged areas, the players who are hungry for an opportunity. And so I really just feel like I also played basketball my whole life till senior year of high school. And I didn't pay for anything after 7th grade for basketball. And of course, there's more money, but I feel like as long as you're good enough to play, you should have an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And in an area where there's maybe less diversity, even more important for us to be aware of bias and the value of having dialogue and the value of reaching out to the youth in our community to learn more about them and to understand more how we can help them grow both on and off the field. So thanks for that question coming in, Hugh. Thanks for your answer to it. So we appreciate you taking some time to speak with us and to have a conversation about social injustice and the power of sport. We wish you all the best as you prepare for the match this weekend against Birmingham and the rest of the season. And thanks for everyone that took the time to jump on this call today. We look forward to continuing to host webinars in regards to a variety of different subjects, including this one. So we wish everybody to have a wonderful day and keep pushing for using sport as a power for change in this country. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.